What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've got another episode reacting to your potential trade scenarios for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I'm not sure how many of these I'll be doing left. There's only a few suggestions here that we'll take away, so the video should not be as long as the last time I made this type of video. But once again, any suggestions that you may have in relation to the Chicago Bulls as we're entering a very strong period where there's not much to talk about, please feel free to let me know in the comments below, and maybe we can continue to make a little bit more of these types of videos. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you would agree or disagree with some of these trades. Now, I should also clarify, these are all just creative ideas. None of these are rumor speculated. None of these are going to happen, most likely. They're just as, I guess, a way to make people feel involved with the channel, which is very, very important to me. And also, it's just my opinion in this retrospect as well. So if I disagree or I agree with the type of trade that you guys provide, just bear in mind, it's just my opinion. You don't have to agree or disagree with me. You could say I'm completely wrong or delusional. You could agree with me if you like. Stuff like that. Again, I think that is something that's very important to discuss. So we're going to get started. I think there are going to be 3 trade scenarios, or just scenarios in general, that we're going to be talking about for the Chicago Bulls. And the first one is going to incline a fan favorite, I think, for the Chicago Bulls fans, Myles Turner. Myles Turner from the Indiana Pacers. So I think a lot of people have talked about this type of deal before, but we'll continue to discuss it here. The Chicago Bulls would get Myles Turner, and this person said a young power forward, and the Chicago Bulls would give up Nikola Vucevic and Kobe White. Now, for a young power forward, you've got to look at the Indiana Pacers team to see what they have that we could potentially, I guess, would want as a Chicago Bulls team. I'm not necessarily just looking at power forwards here, to be honest, but one person I would personally like is Jalen Smith. He recently was acquired, I believe, by the Indiana Pacers, so I'm not sure how willing they would be to give us Jalen Smith, but if that was a potential player we could get in this type of deal, I'm completely fine with this. And to be honest, I think this is a very fair trade. Would I do this trade? I don't know. But in terms of the level that Myles Turner and Vucevic are at, to be honest, I feel like they're at very similar levels. They just provide different things. Myles Turner will give you a little bit more of that rim protection. Not really an offensive threat. He doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands to make an impact on his team. He's going to give you some blocks. He's going to give you some rebounds. He's going to give you some scoring. But maybe the IQ side of things is where his downfall is. And I guess some of the playmaking side of the things that we see with Vucevic, we won't see with Myles Turner. Those are the things you lose out on. But you get defensive reliability with Myles Turner. You get good rim protection from Myles Turner. You get the ability to score as well. Even though I don't personally think he's anywhere near the offensive player that Vucevic is, you still get around the 12 points per game that he's been averaging for the past couple seasons. But when you move to Nikola Vucevic, you see a lot of high IQ plays from Nikola Vucevic. Now, he's not, again, he's had a down year in terms of scoring. The guy at his best, in my opinion, could be a 20 and 10 player for the Chicago Bulls, but obviously he suffered to around 17.6 points. You get a lot of rebounds with Nikola Vucevic as well. Very, very easy to decipher. A lot more rebounds, to be fair, with Nikola Vucevic. Myles Turner only averaged 7 rebounds, while Vucevic averaged 11, has been averaging almost close to 11 for a long, long time. So he's a much better rebounder. He's not going to give you the rim protection. He's not really going to give you the defensive presence that Myles Turner might be able to do. But also, you miss out with high IQ plays. You miss out with passing plays with Nikola Vucevic. He's a much better playmaker. I think he's a more of a team player as well. So yeah, you miss out a lot with Nikola Vucevic, but you also get a lot in return, and it's the very similar situation with Myles Turner. So in my opinion, the reason why I say it's fair is because I personally don't know if I would do this deal or not, but I can understand the value for both teams really wanting to do this type of deal. It makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. So I would say let me know in the comments below whether or not you would do this deal. Personally, I wouldn't know. If you give me Jalen Smith in that type of deal, I probably would really consider a deal like that. But I know that's unlikely, and I don't think they'd be willing to get rid of Jalen Smith just by the fact they recently acquired him. But yeah, very, very interesting topic of discussion. I think Vucevic for Myles Turner is very fair. Most people would consider it. most people wouldn't consider it, or a lot of people wouldn't consider it as well. But it's a very fair deal. And I can understand why people would want Myles Turner. I can understand why people would want Nikola Vucevic. So I think it's a fair deal. I think that if we did this deal, I wouldn't be losing sleep over it, put it that way. But if we didn't do this deal, I wouldn't be losing sleep over it as well. Very neutral type of situation is how I feel with that. So, yeah, wait and see what the outcome would be if the Bulls would actually consider this. I don't think a deal like this would happen. But if Myles Turner's on the trade block, maybe the Bulls will have something to say on that. And maybe we can, I guess, go and pursue something like that if we could get more out of that deal as well. The next one would be trying to trade for Al Horford. This wasn't necessarily a trade scenario. It doesn't give us players to discuss. Basically saying the Chicago Bulls should try to go for Al Horford. Now, again, the reason why this person said to go for Al Horford was to slow down Giannis. There's a lot to decipher with that. First things first, Al Horford is a very old player. I wouldn't necessarily say he's an old as a person, but in terms of basketball, he is getting a little bit older in age. He's signing one-year deals now. He's on the, I guess, short-term type of situation. If you're getting Al Horford, you're getting him for the short term. So what would you really give up for Al Horford? If you're going to give up players that you know could do better for you in the long run, for Al Horford, who's going to be here for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, that is something I'm not really sure if I'd be willing to risk. And to be honest, if you're looking at someone that slowed down Giannis on Boston, I'd be looking at Grant Williams more than I'd be looking at Al Horford. Al Horford has done great things. Al Horford had a terrific NBA playoff run, arguably one of the best players in the NBA Finals for the Boston Celtics. And for the short term, if we could really give up not a lot to get Al Horford, absolutely, I would say let's go and do that. I'm completely on board. But I do feel like it's going to be very hard to trade with the Boston Celtics at the moment. They recently just made the NBA Finals. I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to break up any key component of their team unless we give them a deal that's too good to refuse. And I'm not sure the Bulls should be doing that for Al Horford. I don't think the Bulls should be giving up significant pieces of long-term, I guess, building for Al Horford, to be honest. But he had a terrific playoff run. I personally don't think he wants to leave Boston either. So I would say, to be honest, I'm not sure this is the deal that the Boston Celtics would consider, nor the Chicago Bulls would consider as well. It does make sense in terms of he could play power forward. He could potentially slow down Giannis. He could give you a lot of height because we do need a little bit of height. We could go small ball. We could go big ball. I think it makes sense in that retrospect. But in the situation that he's in at the moment, I'm not sure how much I'd be willing to give up for Al Horford. And I just don't think Al Horford would want to leave Boston either. I think it's a very good relationship there. They traded back for him for a reason. So yeah, that's what I would really say in relation to Al Horford. Next up, and the final one we'll be talking about today, we'll be talking about Coby White going to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Jaden McDaniels on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and obviously a second-round pick. Now, I've got to be honest, I don't know too much about Jaden McDaniels from the Minnesota Timberwolves, but from what I can see, the fact that we're getting a second-round pick as well probably means that Coby White had the better stats. Just looking at his stats, to be honest, he averaged 9.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists, shooting 46.0% from the field, 31.7% from the three-point line. He's 6'9", so a power forward, a guy that could be a little bit stronger, a little bit bulkier, can help on the defensive end. He's a little bit, in my opinion, of a hit and miss type of three-point shooter as well, which is something that you would be losing if you do a trade like this. In his first season, he shot a very good 36% from the three-point line. This season had a down year, shot 31% from the three-point line. So that's a bit of a risk there. What I like about Jaden McDaniels as well, looking at his contract situation, he's a little bit ways away until he's going to be a restricted free agent. So that gives us a little bit of security in terms of how much he'll be making, how much the Bulls can really do, and we won't really have to worry about, I guess, trying to pay him for the future right now. So that makes a lot of sense for the Chicago Bulls as well. I don't think we need to go splashing the cash. We're going to have to pay Io at some point as well. You're going to be, if Coby White has a great season for the Bulls might consider paying Coby White as well. So there's a lot of, I guess, security there. There's not much risk element in terms of Jaden McDaniels, and you get a second-round pick in return. So would I do this trade? At 21 years old, there's still a lot of potential in Jaden McDaniels, and you're hoping that that three-point shot will improve just a little bit more than 31.7%. Personally, yeah, I think there's a good, I would probably do this deal, but you've also got to consider that Coby White does have potential as well. So it just comes down to who you think has more potential. Coby White might have more potential on a different team, to be honest. I think a team like Minnesota could really use a guy like a Coby White, especially because they traded a lot of their team to the Utah Jazz for Rudy Gobert, they can bring in a Kobe White, someone that can be a very good scorer in this league, then I think that works for them, and it kind of works for us as well, because we get the power forward that we're kind of looking for. Someone that's 6'9", 21 years old, has room to improve. There is potential there. Yeah, I think this could be a decent deal. So I wouldn't put it past the Bulls if they had this offer on the table, if they might accept that type of deal. So yeah, I think that's a good trade. I think that's a very fair trade as well. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. As I said before, all of these is just, I guess, people expressing their opinions. None of these are rumor-based. None of these have any, I guess, evidence of happening. Just people being creative, and I really like that part of making these types of videos. So I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. It's all about creativity here. And again, there's not a lot of Bulls news to talk about. We've got to be honest, there just isn't that much. So anything for, I guess, creativity purposes as well would be very, very valuable. So have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.